or email trinityetc@yahoo.com.
The ground report. The ground report.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin.
The ground report. The ground report.
I would think that there's been very clear that all the employees of Petrotrin will exit the company. All.
The ground report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Disclaimer. More FM Limited, its owners and associates, accepts no responsibility for statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests. More FM Limited does not endorse any of the information provided during this commercially booked segment as the truth. That you have to judge for yourself. We, however, reserve the right to question statements made. But in this time of misinformation, government-controlled media, and corruption, it is sometimes hard to get the truth. But we must try. It is not our intention to discriminate or annoy anyone. We believe it is our constitutional right to free speech, to voice our opinion, and our duty to the population and country to expose the truth. More FM Limited takes no responsibility for the opinions of others.
shine. Out of the ashes we rise. There's no one like you. None like you. Our God is greater. Our God is stronger. God, you are higher than any other. Our God is healer. Awesome in power. Our God. Our God. Our God is greater.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Time check. Hey, it's about 15 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. And you listen to the Ground Report. Yours truly, the Pitbull of Radio, and Lennox Smith in studio. I must say a pleasant good morning to all loyal listeners. To all maxi taxi drivers, PH drivers, bus drivers, truckers. Good morning to you. To all senior citizens, a pleasant good morning to you. To the physically challenged disabled people, a pleasant good morning to you.
And if our our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if
To our sister island, Tobago.
and what can stand against? And if
Silver Fox, Marberni, all of you, a pleasant good morning to you.
could ever stop us? And if our God is with us,
Most important morning to all loyal listeners, callers, well-wishers, supporters. Pleasant good morning to all critics, to all haters. A pleasant good morning to you. Hey, let me say a pleasant good morning to those of you that are looking to us on Real Media TT on Facebook,
God is great,
Real Media TT on YouTube.
God is strong,
Good morning to you.
God, you are higher than any other. Our God is healer, awesome in power. Our God, our God. Our God is greater, our God is stronger. God, you are higher than
Hey, Pastor John, a pleasant good morning to you. Balroop in Scotland, good morning.
awesome in power. Our God, our God.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
And if our God is for us, then who could
While I put anything in place to hear what the mainstream media have to offer this morning,
and what can stand against? And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against?
I sure see headliners in the Guardian, which are trying to get back. I think that it's Labour take a clean sweep in the UK, so the wind that change is blowing. I hope that it blow in our direction when that time reach. You know, and I mentioned it. We still have a lot of work to do. Still have a lot of work to do. At the end of the day, the country cannot afford to take a next 5 years of the PNM administration. That would be mad. I also think I see in the Guardian opposition saying, bring the file or something. So I'm trying to get it back. Bring the file. Lennox Smith, a pleasant good morning to you. They say file the report or something. So that's what I'm trying to get. Lennox.
Pleasant good morning to you, my friend. You heard me loud and clear?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good morning to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the world wide web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, on this Friday, the last day of the week for the ground report. Of course, we continue on Monday. And of course, you were talking about a particular file.
Oh, I know the death toll I think raised to 11 or something. So with barrel, the storm. I think like people died.
Yes, 4 in St. Vincent. No, 1 in St. Vincent, 4 in Grenada, and I think there might have been a couple in Jamaica as well. So it's quite possible, and of course, when they would be doing their recovery and assessment and so on, and people doing search and rescue, I'm sure that more bodies might be found under the rubble left in the wake of that particular storm. I mean, it was terrible for Grenada in particular. I see that a Grenadian who would have been here and have a child, I think, in Grenada, in Carriacou, is begging the authorities to have to see whether or not she just wants to be with her child, or to find out whether or not everything is okay. So yeah, that is the repercussions of that particular storm. And that
I also see a landslide, a Labour victory in the UK. So that means the Indian fella who was running there, well, technically black, because technically you were saying all along it's a black man running United States, the UK. So I see like his party gone, they lost.
Yeah, he has lost. He has lost. And that was expected. The Conservatives seem to, yeah. That is the reality.
And then we see it with Trump.
The vicissitude of politics.
Yes, and then we see it with Trump.
You're on a high, and next thing, of course, you on the downside.
And
the thing about it is that it gives you an opportunity, like in Trinidad, all unfair games will have to be played over. And of course, Dr. Rowley, and they clearly had misrepresented themselves, misrepresenting their policies and programs. And now, of course, the national community has an opportunity to redeem themselves. So 2025, the cycle has returned. And of course, the people have a duty now to correct those wrongs that have been perpetrated on us over the last, would have been by that time 10 years.
Wow, and
But go ahead, Mayor, what your points are.
Yeah, I also see where Donald Trump is leading in some of the swing states. Out of the 7 swing states, they say the man leading in 6 of the 7 swing states that will determine win. And then watching where the debate, it didn't look good. This fella, like he forgetting the man, this Biden fella.
Yeah, well, that's one of the issues there. The mental capacity of the current or the incumbent president. He seemed to have some difficulty in memory. And one of the issues that has come up, I think Donald Trump will be about I think 4 years or so younger than him, and the age of these presidents, especially in this particular context. Not that they have not been old presidents before, and even one would have been paraplegic, meaning that confined to a wheelchair, but handled, of course, the Second World War. Anomalies developing as far as leadership is concerned. But at this point in time, where there are so many conflicts all over the globe, I think the people in the United States may well be putting their cards in favor of Donald Trump, having regard to his performance prior and what is being purported by Biden to be international policies. But of course, the United States are seeming to be weaker and weaker under the Biden administration, apart from the fact that he slips all the time when he's going up to Air Force One. He always slips and falls, and then of course try to redeem himself by making a kind of what I consider to be jocular jog to suggest that he's fit physically, but mentally it seemed to be an issue that people have noticed, not only in the United States, but certainly across the globe, because you yourself have observed that lapse sometimes in his disconcertedness in terms of articulating issues that he ought to be extremely familiar with as the President of the United States.
And I watch that, I say, wow.
It's very, very, very interesting times we are in, and we need to, put our own house in order, because nobody else will do it for us.
But then I watch the murder toll going now to 288. I just 12 away from the 300, so we don't know by Monday.
Every time you mention the murder toll, I remember that I think Mr. Barack Paul, who said, "Well, listen, we have a storm category 4 storm, and that produced less murders than in Trinidad during the life so far across the Caribbean of that storm." And it's very, very interesting comparison, because it sounds real. That here it is. Why is the storm is taking very few lives? We have in Trinidad where the storm has not hit, but at the same time taking more lives than the storm itself. I mean, and that speaks volumes in terms of the comparison and where we are as a society, because if natural disaster we are spared and protected of, and then of course the government is unable to protect us from those elements that are prepared to destabilize or engage in criminal activities. Incidentally, of course, the Prime Minister did say, and of course it continued to be a laugh. I see that both Gary Griffith and I think Munilal had followed the direction of the ground report yesterday when we said it was ludicrous, asinine. It was vacuous, and therefore should be given no credence when Dr. Rowley said that somehow with the SSA elements attempting, of course, to overthrow the government, and they have been accumulating weapons of mass destruction. It reminds me, of course, of his exaggeration when he said that the 22 million found in the possession then of that grouping in La Hokata, where he said it will destabilize the financial system in the country. Are talking about drugs also. Remember that drugs also development, so much so that he decided to at our expense look for and acquire detectives from Barbados and the UK in order to investigate that, and then it turns out to be much ado about nothing and a storm in a teacup scenario, and today they are totally silent on the matter. So Dr. Rowley has this uncanny capacity and ability to, of course, dig deep into his fictitious and, of course, very, what I consider to be potent and very prolific imagination, always for evil, and of course sinister acts against the people to exaggerate and to make us believe something that's really and truly does not exist for his personal aggrandizement.
All senators. We also see all senators have voted yes to the bail bill. All senators voted yes to the bail bill.
Well, the opposition did lay the foundation for that, and of course, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar was very poignant and very explanatory in terms of why, at one point in time, it was not supported by the opposition, and now support. And I suppose that trend has moved into the Senate. The bill having been, of course, laid in the lower house previously. So that would have been expected. The outcome in the Senate would have been expected. There was, of course, certain considerations brought on by a particular decision of the court, Achille, where, of course, people can be granted bail even when you are on a murder charge. That is well established now, only recently, and it speaks to, of course, the strict dichotomy or the division of the separation of power, where the courts are to be given, the judges and magistrates, etc., be given the discretion to, of course, determine whether a person should get bail or not, and not the legislature or the executive's wish by manipulating the legislature, because they have, in this case, of course, a very slim majority, but nonetheless wants to have people stay inordinately in custody in a system that says, of course, you are innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, and bail
is important element of that system.
Nice, but don't mind me. I just want to kind of technically just go through like a first chapter, because we had to organize Colin Membert free to go ahead with staffing of the TTRA. I thought you told me something about some court and this, and but how we get it go ahead to do that?
Yeah,
for now it's it.
Yeah. Well, what has happened is that I think there was an injunction, an injunctive relief pursued by the PSA, the Public Service Association, the representative body for public servants that was pursuing this matter, and they have taken it to the Privy Council at this point in time because the courts, the local courts, both lower courts of first instance and then the appeal court, agreeing that, of course, the executive has the role to determine matters of this nature. So what has happened, they have taken it to the Privy Council that talking about PSA because it was ruled against them. They are saying to the contrary. But however, there was an accompanying injunction that was supposed to last until September. It appears that the government went ahead, assuming that there was a breach by the government. The PSA sought clarification by the court subsequently, and it appears that the court may not have agreed with the PSA that aspect of it, meaning that the government can continue to populate that particular entity to be. Whilst, of course, the matter is being waited upon for final decision in our apex court, the Privy Council in the United Kingdom. I have not read the article, so I don't want to claim that I have all the details. But based on what I've read before, it appears that this is the direction in which the government now feel confident that they can now pursue that course of action, even though they are waiting for the ultimate result or decision from the Privy Council.
Wow. Boy, what do you have? Anything else? Other than
Well,
that,
I just
tell you 288. Watch by now on Monday, it go reach 300. I don't want it to just how it is, but the murder going to reach at least 300.
A double barrel. They have unicorns. I cannot help but make reference to that because I think it is so conscientiously, vivid. But that here it is, you have a whole hurricane, and you have more murders in Trinidad than no deaths by murders in Trinidad. Trinidad not being a victim of that hurricane than countries that would have gotten hit in more ways than one. But let me say before I enter any other thing, or you have concerns with friends or family in the countries that would have been hit by the numbers to contact if you want to have information in as far as generally both in any part of the Caribbean that was hit by it. But of course, you can contact the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs or via email at emergency2024 at foreign.gov.tt. Let me repeat that. The email address, if you have concerns about any relative or you can convey the information, because I know communication will be very difficult now that the storm has passed and has done so much damage to the communication apparatus or infrastructure in these countries.
But Lennox, to be fair, you telling me that they will at least you go ahead and give them the thing again, and then let me talk my mind on that way doing deal. But not it's not you I on it.
So email.
Yeah, get them it.
So email the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. The email address is emergency2024 at foreign.gov.tt. So I'm saying it very slow. The telephone number you can call, of course, with the international code for Trinidad in it. You can call let me say the domestic one, 499-4919. So let me repeat that again. Those of you who want to find out about what is happening in various other parts of the Caribbean subsequent to the passage of Beryl, that hurricane, the number to call for the Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Ministry is 499-4919. Of course, if you are abroad, because I know that people listen to us as well abroad, then of course, you put the international code for Trinidad, and that is of course 1868 in front of the 499-4919 to get, of course, the ministry. As far as Grenada is concerned, persons in Grenada and they wanted to get in contact with people in Trinidad for one reason or another because of the invitation made by this government, well, of course, you can contact the honorary consul there. Yes, the TT Clifton Ali, that is the honorary counsel for Trinidad and Tobago in Grenada, and his number is of course 1-473-535-1822, right? Or email him at cliftonali7 at gmail.com.
Nice.
cliftonali7 at gmail.com. And just one more. And in Jamaica, of course, you can contact the High Commission in Kingston. And the number there, I'll just give you one. The number there to call is 1-876-926-5730. I'll only give you one. There are several others.
All right.
Later, of course, we will repeat those communications numbers where you may have family or interest in these countries, and you would want to find out.
I don't think you're going to want to repeat it, because at the end of the day, when we have problem with WASA, there is we 800 WASA, and when we call in, we can't get through. When we have problem with social development ministry, there is giving number for that. Every police, emergency, call the police. There's giving number for everything, boy. When it comes to all the ministries, boy. And when we call in, we don't get through. We don't get through. So, you know what go hurt?
Yeah, and
I gonna make the call this morning.
Right.
To see. Because when it comes to we in Trinidad, and numbers so we to get assistance and help, and to turn to care work, nobody to answer. It's the worst thing. But when it comes to, let me say them trying to buy God back now because the wicked. So hey, let me help. Let me God bless we. God know all the dirty stink and all they had to go to the all they had to go to hell. No trick nobody. I know what hurtful.
Well,
those numbers are put in place. You know them go
try
what?
to obfuscate the inevitable, but at the end of the day, that is ordained, and therefore evil could never prevail over good. So, and there's only one place for the evil. Hell is your ultimate destiny, whether you like it or not.
Imagine that. Anyhow, both of you that is on I have to make a reset, I believe, because I'm not seeing when I go live. I'm not as YouTube don't have about 100 and something only on YouTube. I will be cutting. I will just reset your thing because I'm not getting Facebook. Right, I'm not getting the.
But
Facebook.
just one or two other, because it's Friday, so things that we didn't touch. Of course, Alan Warner was charged yesterday for a breach for operating mining operation without a license. He was charged at the St. Joseph police station. We have a copy of the indictment.
Who Warner?
Yes, Alan Warner, and his son was charged earlier on the same.
So Alan Warner was there too. He was there when they make the raid.
No, he was there. It appears that there was an investigation, and the investigation revealed what the police felt was necessary, and this is the outcome.
Well, let me understand.
Warner,
his son is who got caught, but how Alan Warner itself get charged?
Well, it appears based on the evidence and the the evidence coming out of the investigations of the police. So that is the logical thing. He being part owner of the particular entity in different ways, because take for instance, they had rented some very powerful equipment from Neil and Massey that got caught up there as well, bulldozers, etc. And the documentation might have led to Alan himself, who might have committed himself one way or another. So I could see that happening in the investigation. Of course, I am not privy to the details, but the fact that the police will not act in that way if of course they didn't have ample evidence to show. Of course, he was charged by, as I said, with the specific charge of operating without a license a quarry Yeah, under the what? It says here under the. Let me tell you what act it is, what law it is. The Minerals Act. Yeah, the Minerals Act.
Whoa.
Operating. Yeah,
For that to
operating.
happen, it means real curry men, big boys. It's big boys that was to bring that down, you know. Cause that's a big
Yes,
one they
indeed, of
get in, you
course.
know. They don't know
He's on
government or this, you know.
$100,000 bail. He's on $100,000 bail, and the information is that after he got bail, he sought medical attention. You know, as a consequence, he was feeling ill after the
feeling sick.
episode or the exercise. So
all that money you have when you see you get catch you just vomit and thing,
yeah,
you be
of
feeling
course,
sick.
the article connected to it, of course, did not fail to mention that is Dr. Rory's good friend.
Oh,
Of course,
Lord.
the article also said that when Dr. Rory was communicated on the matter, he then said words to the effect that I don't want to be held having quoted, but certainly I could paraphrase by saying he said he's sorry to hear that. Because remember, of course, Alan Warner's that family was supposed to be the creme de la creme of a progressive African representation in terms of progress.
Boy, but
And
I
Dr.
can't
Rowley
understand this.
did- I remember very distinctly at the Success Laventil Secondary School, he used the Warners as the example because at that point in time, there were concerns of the Warners getting contract that.
Yeah, but
could
all that
only
money
be
they have,
considered-
and them is see like the big
Yeah.
gods across there in Tobago.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
telling me all
And,
that money,
and at that time,
yet
Rowley said that-
still you getting caught up in something so small
Yeah.
that this can never justify. Where you get caught up in can't justify the kind of wealth you have. I think for hustlers, I think for hustlers to do them.
I can go further by saying anything Rowley praises, bet your bottom dollar
It going fall.
it's going to fail.
Oh, my
Everything he praises is going to fail. Everything he pursues going to fail. We saw that, of course, with sandals. It started with sandals in essence, of course, notwithstanding the fake emails and them, but sandals. Then, of course, the most significant in more recent times is Nike. And he opened the thing 2 weeks afterward, boasting that it is unique. It's the only thing in the Caribbean. It is revolutionary, and all of these hyperboles that will, of course, make one optimistic of what is going to happen in terms of benefit to Trinidad and Tobago. You know, the thing blew up not once; it blew up twice.
Imagine that.
So he mentioned Warner and they as a exemplary family that are of African stock and of course progressive. And look what has happened now. I mean, just people, if you want to progress, just don't get Rowley, just don't get in Rowley mouth anything about you. Because
But do me a favor.
It's going to go that way.
Before I cut this thing, because I seen, check and see if the Facebook, Real Media TT on Facebook up now. But meanwhile, I'm organize and just play the break. Take the quick
All
break.
right, I'll do that. I'll do that on my other system and see what's happening.
Yeah, just the Facebook. I know the YouTube up, but I just not getting in the Facebook on my
Let
phone.
me check that and see.
Yeah.
Alright.
So let me think by the time to just take a quick
Yeah,
break.
so that is one development that is taking place. And we have the other one, of course, Gary Griffith and Moonlal responding to Dr. Rowley, as we said, jocular, nebulous, superficial statement that, of course, the elements, or if not the SSA itself, was being turned into a subversive entity with intention to undermine the government, to
commit a coup.
replace the government. But I want to tell you this because there's another connection again. You know, he was up in arms about that matter of the SSA early in his tenure back in 2015 as far as the Rishmi matter is concerned, and that this woman not qualified, and here it is that you try to make she head. All Kamala Prasad Bisesa did is of course reverse the thing by of course making sure that she was not given the position, and therefore save Trinidad and Tobago. Money is nebulous as that money is compared to the kind of spending that Rowley and they engage. But what is important now is that here it is under Rowley, the entire SSA has collapsed. In circumstances where he now is now claiming that the thing that he created, he said that it was potentially would have been managed by people who are unqualified. Here it is, he put in qualified people, and the entire thing not only has collapsed, he is now claiming that which he put in place, that which he nurtured, that which he supported, that which he managed and of course superintended, is now, from information he has, looking to overthrow the government. The government.
He own thing looking to overthrow him. Boy, that man so. But yeah, with this, let me take a quick break. Yeah. Let me take a quick break, Trinidad and Tobago. When we come back more right here on the ground report, because I had to try to get the lines.
Blighted, man. Cursed.
I had to get the lines and them up and running too. So let me take that quick break.
I'm looking for it in the meantime, Andy, but I had to put in that one.
Hey, but look, I see Facebook up. Miss Santa Cruz. Call me now. But like it working, but like I see Miss Santa Cruz, I see Ja Group. Right. I see let me see. Gloria. But that's all 3 Facebook. All the rest 100 is YouTube. Nah. All Facebook. Well, they send my message. Say morning. Let me see, because I'm not getting it. Like, when you get 4, that a little bit. No, except 4. That is only 3 people. Santa Cruz, Ja Group, and Gloria. Escola or something. So that's it. For the morning. Where all them rest of, how she find it? Because I ain't find it on my phone. So all the Facebookers, just send a morning there for me. Before next me see I cut it off and it working. You understand? So all the Facebookers, send a morning for me. We go for a quick break, Trinidad and Tobago, and come back. So I ain't gonna cut off that yet, or restart yet, because look, nobody see going up and dropping. Just now there was a 70-something, 80-something, 100 and some, 100 and nearly 200. Bam, it going back down to once it up and down. Look, somebody saying, Andy, only YouTube up right now. Facebook is down.
Yeah, because I am getting difficulty in finding it myself here.
Well, Miss Santa Cruz, you send the live for me then if you get. So I go share the Facebook live.
Yeah, forget about saying I have not. I'm saying I have not got it.
All right. Well, all right. Let me see if I can get that sorted out.
So I'm still searching.
All right.
So we go for the break?
Yep, and come back. When we come back more right on the ground report, we'll be back.
The Ground Report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Chinese and Ari Restaurant. Open for breakfast and lunch. 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. 67 Western Main Road, St. James, opposite Standard. Serving local breakfast items like sada, pies, fry and roasted baked, with all your favorite fillings and assorted lunches. Available from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Get pilau as low as $25 or get combination lunches from $25 to $40. Crab and dumpling on Fridays, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Soup Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. A la carte with burgers, fries, nuggets, gyros, loaded hot dogs. Just about anything you could think about. From 6 p.m. Sunday to Sunday. For more information, call 382-9347 to place your order. Chinese and Ari Restaurant. Open 7 days a week at St. James.
The big question today, how much will my electricity bill increase? Stop worrying
Act now. Replace your bulbs with energy-efficient LED bulbs now available at Trinity Lighting. When you purchase 4 60-watt LED bulbs for $112.50, you get 2 absolutely free. That's right, absolutely free. Or purchase 3 100-watt LED bulbs for the same price and get 1 100-watt LED bulb free. Trinity also has the following options. Purchase 2 4-foot LED tube or 1 8-foot or 2 LED colored bulbs for the same price, $112.50. At Trinity, we also stock specialty items and a wide range of electrical supplies for all your household, medical, marine, commercial, and much more. Any hard-to-find bulbs or parts, we can source it locally or internationally. Check us out at 123 Western Main Road in St. James or call 628-8373, WhatsApp 461-8620 or email trinityetc@yahoo.com.
Sell-off Promotions and Beats by Robin presents Mix Up Colors in Paradise.
You've been to a party, plenty women looking so nice. We must be in paradise.
Sunday, 7 July at Cipriani Labor College, Valsaine from 1 p.m. till 8 p.m. Performing live, Farmer Nappy.
I will be at Mix Up Colors on Sunday the 7th of July.
Your DJs for Mix Up Colors: J-Wise and DJ Sean 3.0, Tommy Schmurda and DJ Nasio, Sachi and DJ Specs, Kevon X and Smokey, Kevin Baker and DJ Kevin Links, Akeem 5.0 and Salty, and DJ Bonzilla. Get your tickets at all Cachet stores and New Wave Apparel Arima. This ad sponsored by Ricky Ragunan and Group of Companies, CG Homes, Ronald's Auto Supplies, Chattergoon Group of Companies, Monster Energy Drink, RS Sound Company, Cachet, CLX Gym, Blue Waters, KFC, Campari, Angostura, 104.7 FM, and Whitest Grocery Limited. Mix Up Colors in Paradise. Get ready, Sunday, 7th July.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday. Independent and credible.
Are you heading east this Friday or Saturday? Make Cops Bar and launch Krabbe, your #1 choice for cold beers, great music, hot fries, tasty chicken, and unbelievable fish combo. From 4 p.m., join more FM's, Starboy Kerry, and yours truly Music Library. Cops Bar, your one-stop for cold beers, tasty food, fun, and yes, each and every Friday and Saturday, win a bottle on the spot at 11 p.m. Yes, complete on location. The entry form, and at 11 p.m. become an instant bottle winner. The one place in the east where the beers are very cold and the fries are very hot and the chicken and fish combo tasty. So join the fun at Caps Bar and Lawn at QRF.
Lauren saying call out in New York City.
Oh boy, Lennox Smith. Go ahead while I try to rectify these two problems they are talking with newbie here.
All right, okay, no
Yes,
problem, my friend, no problem. I tried during the course of the break. I have not been successful, so we have a lot of material to share with you. So let's go straight to that sharing capacity that we have, of course. And let me just reference the headlines, of course. Health Ministry. Capsules recalled may cause cardiac arrest. So there are some tablets. I understand that it has not been approved in Trinidad, but people may get access to it by whatever mechanism that they would use. Maybe friends abroad might send it through the mail, etc. So that particular capsule, I don't have the details of it except to say that the headline says that it ought not to be used. So I'll get, during the course of the program, I'll get the name of the actual medication that I think it is manufactured in India. And they're saying that don't use it. It may well create cardiac arrest, and therefore you may meet your demise, or some stroke you may get and they're therefore rendering parts of the body non-functional. Trini woman's frantic search for Karikou family. That's the family that attracted my attention earlier in search of persons that may be stranded and because of lack of communication in the main, far less for them being injured, but certainly lack of communication on these islands, St. Vincent, Grenada, Carriacou to be more specific, which of course I understand 90-something% of it has been damaged in terms of housing, and they are in a terrible state. And then of course in Jamaica as well, where of course that early historic storm in the month of July, the 1st of July, passed, of course, across the Caribbean at that level. I understand that according to the meteorological historians, that should understand that there are restraints to their ability to unreasonable grounds or non-reasonable grounds or mere suspicion detain people for extraordinary periods and then, of course, let them go without charge, as in this case with this police officer. Well, of course, in the case itself, in the court document, in the evidence, there was a piece of evidence that the Court of Appeal noted in its judgment, decided action against the police for that kind of concept and that kind of idea, saying that there is the system, their case laws replete the where you cannot hold someone for investigation over to give judgment in a punitive way to send a message, $300,000, taxpayers' dollars. Piggledy, and on their own women fancy, you maybe whatever. And have the people there, and they believe that is honky. They believe that somehow they are above the law in that regard. What is expected of them. Well, look it up and take note of that. That the under whatever suspicion, but they have kept you locked up. Prohibiting you from your right that they can penalty or that person released poignantly and categorically demonstrates that that is not what is expected in a civilized society. That, of course, is enshrined in the country, and therefore section 4, the various to enjoy, and that the executive, whosoever the member of the executive is, in this case, of course, the police, that both the police and those persons who may be subjected to particular case. I am going to do some reading on it as well, just to make sure that I familiarize myself. There must be a particular problem. You are going to act in a manner that is scrutiny for one reason or another. It's found wanting. No, not in a democratic, civilized society. Right? So I thought it was important to just pay the name is slipping me now, but of course that matter with involving Barbados and the the arresting and the returning to Trinidad of that person who, for one reason or another, the police felt that he is a person of interest and therefore went across or caused him to be returned to Trinidad. So I'm sure some of you would remember the name. I'll remember it during the course of the program as well, or maybe whilst I'm looking at another issue. But the fact of the matter is that that particular situation with the police and this recent case where the court has awarded him $300,000 reminds me of those, of course, in the case of the Vincent Nelson matter, when, of course, is a clear case of the perversion of the course of criminal justice, where, of course, there is a concoction of evidence by high holders of office, particularly the then Attorney General, who, of course, had a duty to protect the interests of the public, being the states and taxpayers paid attorney. Here it is, we have allegations, very serious allegations of concocting evidence and generating a scenario where the perversion of justice is so pellucid that Dr. Rowley had to, of course, remove Al-Rari from the office of Attorney General or the position of Attorney General, having regard to, of course, indemnity agreements as well as exchange of evidence against, of course, a former Attorney General and a UNC colleague, both of whom have the common position of being members of the UNC, and therefore it's the entire episode speaks with political intervention, bias, and victimization. I'm talking of course, about Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen, former Attorney General and a member of the Senate at one point in time, respectively. And therefore, we must take note of these facts and that the executive cannot engage in such activities. They are there to protect the public's good, not jeopardize the public good. And of course, this has a lot of implications, some of which are yet to materialize or to unfold, as this saga has not yet been completed. But certainly what it resulted in is the DPP saying to withdraw the charges against Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen as a consequence of the revelation that there was a concoction, a conspiracy to pervert the course of criminal justice, implicating the then sitting Attorney General, and indeed the Prime Minister. One can extend that too, because he was up and down the country. I'm talking about Dr. Rowley here. The Prime Minister of this country was up and down the country talking about that the opposition ought not to be talking so loudly, because he remembers the case of Pamasar. Remember that? And of course, turning state witness, having been part and parcel of a criminal event episode involving Abdul Malik, who was eventually charged and of course hanged for his role in that particular killing. But the fact of the matter is, Dr. Rowley was up and down the country talking about that particular case in a situation where Pamasar was made state witness to do for one reason only: to protect himself, to save his own life. Here it is. In this particular case, Dr. Rowley is referencing Pamasar, but what we have gleaned, what we have learned, is that the person who was supposed to turn state witness, in this case, of course, Vincent Nelson, was literally paid. Was paid millions of dollars, 10 million, in order, of course, to prefer a statement that is a no-no, unaccepted in a criminal circumstance. You probably could do it in a civil circumstance where you hope nobody will know. But you cannot pay somebody to give you a statement and then have them turn state witness, because that is a case in advance collapse, because of course all the defendants have to say and have to disclose is that why it is you had to pay this man, and therefore, and he was involved in the whole exercise as well, and you pay him. So that case has collapsed before it even started, and they knew that, and they know that. That is why, of course, Dr. Rowley had to take the heat off the cabinet. And of course, dismiss Al-Rari as a slap on the wrist, so to speak, because he's still a cabinet minister, but at least the focus in this particular matter will not be on him, and it is the hope that, of course, that will dissipate, that will disappear. No, Dr. Rowley, the population is extremely accurate, and if they are not, it's our duty to remind them over and over and over like a recurring decimal. I almost said Dr. Andy, are you there? But sorry, I know you have not yet received your doctorate as yet. Whether it be artificial, like what Dr. Rowley received some time ago, whether it be an honorary or one that you would have, of course, done all of the exams and did all your thesis in order to acquire your PhD. But in my view, you are a PhD in your own right, and therefore, I don't think it would be a mistake or far-fetched to, of course, give that handle to your name, doctor. But nonetheless, Andy, are you there? Are you ready? All right. I thought I heard something. That is why I paused and made that reference. So, people, it is critical and to understand what we are dealing with and why it is that we are so fervent in our position. Are you there? That we must have transparency, accountability in a democracy where the rule of law, the separation of power, is of paramount importance. And therefore, government by the people, of the people, and for the people exudes that consciousness that all of us must have. And therefore, persons who have been given the honor of serving us by virtue of the electoral process and then betray us in the way that we are seeing unfolding almost on a daily basis or weekly basis in Trinidad and Tobago under a PNM Rowley administration, we certainly cannot countenance, will not countenance, because it jeopardizes not only our children and our children's children, not only our immediate ability to manage and to survive and strive in the society that we were born into, but it is to the detriment of the society or the nation called Trinidad and Tobago if we so allow to and permit to ferment in the way that it is galloping in Trinidad and Tobago. So let's not waste time. Of course, I heard the former Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffiths, speaks about democratic dictatorship, and I like the term, because I would have seen it as a dictatorship, as a group of oligarchs, as a group of narcissistic individuals who have arrogated unto themselves the position that they are above the law and they therefore are untouchable, and so long as they can manipulate and abuse and undermine the independent institutions that are supposed to be part and parcel of that check and balance that is rife and permissible and appropriate for a democracy, we will be in trouble if we only allow that. And that is why, of course, I am satisfied that evil cannot prevail over good, one, and two. That is only when good people stand idly by, pretending to be blind, and not, of course, open their eyes to see the potential and the real destruction and the undermining and with the usual deception, misinformation, disinformation, innuendos, circumlocutions, hyperboles, and grandiloquence that always attend elements like those who are prepared, of course, to try to hoodwink us, making themselves, of course, above the law and at the same time pretending to be immaculate. They can't mash ants, and that their moral and ethical pillars are of an optimum nature, when in fact they are the devil incarnated, the devil in human form, and then of course goes to the polls, as is the case now, where the decision to go to the poll in essence is in the hands of those who are prepared and have been doing us harm. But of course, thank God, there is a constitutional parameter beyond which they cannot go, and that is to say 5 years that must conclude next year at a particular point in time, beyond which it will be considered to be a breach of the Constitution, and a number of things can flow from that, including, of course, external intervention, military and otherwise, if, of course, Dr. Rowley decides to stay in office unmeritoriously, unconstitutionally. So we have all of that, and they know that. So that is why they will maybe go to the edge, engage in brinksmanship, go to the edge, but of course will not go beyond that threshold that will clearly confirm that they are dictators and that they are prepared, of course, to undermine all institutions, arrogate unto themselves privileges and authority that they do not have and was never contemplated and could not be contemplated by the population for them staying in office longer than is required. So they know that. So they are utilizing, of course, the resources of the country to try to stay in office, subject, of course, to the electoral process that one expects will be executed on time and at the appropriate time constitutionally. But you and I must always be conscious of the elasticity, of the toxicity of this administration. And because you are conscious and you are aware and that you are imbued and saturated and pregnant with the information that is crucial to making a decision, you know that you ought not to engage that administration when the opportunity presents itself through the ballot and not the bullet. So those are some of the issues that I would have liked to address given the opportunity. I know that Andy is looking at some technical issues. Andy, if you are ready, you can tell me. If not, of course, we have some other matters that I would want to bring to the fore. Griffith, on PM's statement of overthrow plot, SSA coup, a red herring. Of course, consistent with what we had said, even though we were not privy to much of the details. We weren't given details. Of course, that is typical of Dr. Rowley and his team, cabinet ministers and kitchen cabinet officials, where they give you sufficient to achieve their objective, and it leaves it to the imagination thereafter. And when the details eventually emerge, whether by whistleblowing or other elements, they then, of course, change their tune. And we have seen that very poignantly with respect, of course, to the development of the Police Service Commission and the appointment of, among others, or the reappointment, among others, of Gary Griffith on that short list that Dr. Rowley eventually admitted it was him who made the intervention, but initially would give you circumlocutive talk and innuendo and inferences, but not direct. And as soon as he find himself in a situation where even the president would have been impeached in this matter, well done, opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar, to cause him to eventually have to confess that it was him. But before, he would use obfuscations and, of course, all kinds of deflective talk. And when, of course, he is confronted eventually, as Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC cause him to be, because the functions of the president, sitting president at the time, Paula May Weeks, was in jeopardy. He then, of course, came out and said, well, it was me. And don't understand, just imagine that, don't understand why Kamala Persad-Bissessar, with the relevant majority and therefore the process that was legitimate and legal, initiated, of course, a coming together of both houses of parliament in order to adjudicate upon the president. Never before happened. And when he realized that that was a reality, trying to preempt it as much as he could and delay acknowledging and accepting that it was he who made the intervention. And of course, we are yet to find out whether or not that intervention was legal or not. Of course, when he is out of office, we will find out. We will find out, because blue lights and silver bracelet will always await, waiting impatiently in this particular case as far as I am concerned. But the fact of the matter is that he agreed and accepted the fact that it was he who made the intervention after, of course, those circumstances that forced him to say, in fact, it was him, because the president's tenure in office was in jeopardy at that point in time. No doubt. I mean, nobody except those who may have some mental ailment and therefore their capacity to rationalize would have been limited or circumscribed. Nobody would have had any other conclusion but that Dr. Rowley had to say his role in order, of course, that was diametrically opposed to that which he had before. And you could only use rapscallion, you could only use terms as miscreant, you could only use terms as inappropriate or dishonest or dishonesty, or even more significant, dishonorable. Because when dishonorable people seek honorable office, as is the case of the Prime Minister office and that of ministers, the only outcome could only be dishonorableness, deception, innuendos, misinformation, disinformation, incompetence, impotence. And let me tell those who still have a modicum of residual sympathy for the PNM. Let me repeat that. Those of you who still have some kind of residual sympathy for the PNM, I want to tell you that all of the self-serving platitudes and pontifications of Rowley and others that they did well and that the economy is thriving and so on, you have to look at just one thing and one thing only to generate whether or not they continue to lie or speak the truth. And that the veracity, the truth of what they're saying is in fact, so all you have to do when they tell you that the economy is going fine. Remember at one time before COVID, we were told that he could see clearly now, the rain is gone. Yes. And that, of course, prior to that, there was this scenario where Imbert told us that the economy is not turning, it has turned around. Told us that. And post-COVID, we are being told the same thing. When the evidence from international and regional independent entities are saying something different. Imagine Imbert will tell us that the Heritage and Civilization Fund has moved back to where it was when they came into office in 2015. That is a concoction nestled not only in dishonesty and misinformation and disinformation, but is also designed to insult our individual and collective intelligence, inclusive of those who are supposed to be the part of the intelligentsia of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, I would say miraculously, if not inexplicably, they see the Rowley and the PNM as a viable entity to take Trinidad and Tobago forward. All I ask of you is to have them respond to you, and by you asking the question what they met there in 2015. That's all. That's all we want to know, Rowley. What you met there as part of the macroeconomic realities of Trinidad and Tobago. What you met, in other words, to be more specific, what you met in the reserves. How much money you met in reserve? The reserve, yes. The bank account of the country. How much money you met there? How much money you met in the Heritage and Civilization Fund? Because if you took out about $1 billion in the Heritage and Civilization Fund, for example, how could you tell us that the Heritage and Civilization Fund has gone back to where you met it in 2015? That is patently and blatantly a deception to insult our collective and individual intelligence. Because here it is. You don't have at least the decency to tell us, well, listen, it is back at 5 point something billion US. But of course, you have a duty and responsibility to say that if the billion that you took out was added, then it ought to have been 6 point something billion. But no, you never did that. You simply told us that, listen, it went back there. Semantics. Gaslighting. To deceive and to appease. But alas, it is always to their detriment as they try to hoodwink and deceive. So you have to ask the question, people. If you met, some say 12, but I like to be conservative. I will say 10 billion in reserves, 5 in the Heritage and Civilization Fund. In 2015, when you got there, about 5 billion in excess liquidity in the banks, etc. What is the position today, 9 years after? You know, they avoid telling us that. You will hear them patting themselves on the shoulder of how well they did and how the economy was, and they save us from the IMF. Well, let me tell you this, people. It would have been impossible. The IMF will have rejected any notion 2015 and in the formative early years of this administration in their first term to be a client for the IMF, simply because we had over 12 months of import as reserve, that 10 point something billion we're talking about. Let them tell you how much it is today if they have done so well. And they're going to tell you only because they have to report to international institutions on which we depend for the survivability of our economy and our society. They will have to speak the truth somewhat. So they will tell you today, some say 5 billion. Yes, that reserve that Kamala Prasad Bisesa assisted in accumulating and left for Rowley and the PNM over 10 billion it is today. And you hear Imber talking about it. He would prefer to say 6 billion. He would prefer some say 5. I say it's closer to $4 billion in reserves. Just about 3 or 4 months of import. Whereas he met, of course, 12 months, a very healthy economy indeed. And on that basis, what they met then, it would have been impossible for Trinidad and Tobago to go to the IMF. Let's not waste time with that. It is a figment of their very pernicious, prolific, and love to manufacture innuendos, deceptions, and total and absolute illusions to try to make themselves look as though they are what they are not, and that is to say, prudent managers of our resources. It has moved from 10 billion people. Today, it is about 5 to 4 billion in reserve. There's nothing, Rowley, and they could say to neutralize, to deceive, to hoodwink, to obfuscate, to deny, and to, of course, eradicate that fact. That's what you have to ask. Just ask what you meant then, Rowley, in 2015 under Kamala. Since you say the thief, the this and that and so on, then tell us what you met there. He's going to tell you he met 10. He's going to tell you that, and counting, he may use the lesser number. So I say 10. But he will avoid telling you what is the situation today, having claimed that the economy has done well under this administration. Let me tell you something. Apart from that, so that is a clear case where you need to ask the question of this government. Since you say you performed well. And then, of course, the next other question that is statistically irrefutable is it is as constant as the Northern Star and as immutable as a cent.